can't forget. Back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette, and a message coming from my eyes says leave it alone. Every single one's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it, from the Queen of England to the hounds of hell. And if I catch it coming back my way, I'm gonna serve it to you. And that ain't what you wanna hear, but that's what I'll do. And the feeling coming from my bones says find a home. Don't wanna hear about it. Every single one's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it, from the Queen of England to the hounds of hell. And if I catch it coming back my way, I'm gonna serve it to you. And that ain't what you wanna hear, but that's what I'll do. And the feeling coming from my bones says find a home. See rock shows near Tampa, get tickets as low as 61. You might also like Thick of It, KSI, Family Matters, Drake. My boy only breaks his favorite toys, Taylor Swift. Wichita, far from this opera forevermore. I'm gonna work the straw, make the sweat drip out of every pore. And I'm bleeding and I'm bleeding and I'm bleeding right before the Lord. All the words are gonna bleed from me, and I will think no more. And the stains coming from my blood tell me go back home. closer to God. Through every forest, above the trees, within my stomach, scraped off my knees. I drink the honey inside your hive. You are the reason I stay
Welcome, my friends, to XboxEra. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course, XboxEra.com, your destination for the best news, reviews, and features, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcasts listened to in over 50 countries worldwide, our in-depth reviews, our own merch store for the coolest in gaming threads, and of course Day One, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. We're a small, agile and independent publication, and importantly, we're completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can become one of the cool kids by supporting us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us grow even larger. Thank you for your support. XboxEra is only made possible by the support of an amazing community, and in particular our legendary and growing army of Patreon supporters. Our executive producers, Top, The Scarecrow 121, Peter B, Not Jack, Mohammed Sherez, Kevin S, Korkenstein, Jordan White, Jordan Andau, Frankie C, Terran H, and Britt. Our amazingly generous grand benefactors who take their support and dedication to XboxEra to another level. Krat56, an assassin. And then there's our boss, our leader, our shining light in times of darkness, the one and only XboxEra CEO, Torn Raptor. You guys are all fucking awesome. If you enjoy the content XboxEra produce and want more of it, and you're not a patron, consider heading over to patreon.com/XboxEra, pledge your support, and get cool swag in return. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of XboxEra Headlines. The date is November the 7th, 2024. I'm Sika Mechanico, and today Jesse and I will be taking you through all of the latest in gaming news from across the industry. As a bonus for our wonderful patrons, we make audio versions of these episodes available for them to listen to in the Patreon app. But if they're on Spotify, they can link their accounts and listen to it right there. If you're not a patron, but you are on Spotify, you can see those episodes, but they've got a padlock next to them. To unlock that and get a key, head to patreon.com/XboxEra, where you can support this fledgling and fiercely independent team into glorious heights of internet takeover that we've never yet seen.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lost it there at the end.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I did my best. It's
Your best
Thursday.
was not very good, unfortunately.
No. Some folks are feeling that across the globe, but hey ho, we're here to talk about video games. But before we do, how are you doing, Jesse? And I'll give you the opportunity to reply in meme format.
God damn it, she's too close. I'm trying to get kitty cam set up because people be used to having a cute little kitty cat around. If I can, I'm fine. You know,
I was hoping for not good, Bob.
Oh, not great, Bob. But yeah, overall, life itself, It's all right. There we go. There's Kitty Cam. There she can
I need to
snuggle
set
next
one
to
up
me.
for my kittens because they are literally the most adorable.
Well, I only get to set this up when she's actually here, which isn't all the time. So
fair enough.
She's right next to me. They will have a little kitty cam in the corner of my webcam today. Because why shouldn't we? But yeah, no, it's been great. And thank you, James Thomas. I agree, and I am heavily biased, so that's definitely why I agree.
Kitty cam. It's nice to see everybody in the chat. I hope everybody is well and doing as okay as can be. There's plenty to talk about, though. In fact, this is a pretty chocker episode.
I could have had 20 headlines. There's 12 or 13, and I chopped out like 7 or 8 over the last day.
I had to actually change the thumbnail earlier this morning with pre-drag because bigger news arrived, and that was more interesting.
Yeah, I was struggling. So it's a lot of news. It just hadn't been a lot of big news, and then we finally got something I would consider a surprising, out of nowhere
revelation. Yeah, it was.
So Andy Robbins, if we want to get right into it,
yeah, we will. We will get right into it, mate.
But after, you have a site-related thing too.
I do. Before we get into the news, I did want to drop just a small housekeeping update. Welcome everybody in the chat that's watching us from around the globe. Lovely to see you all. And James Thomas in the chat, we've got to shout this out because he says, XboxEra, you're fucking awesome. No, you are, James. You are. Yes, before we dive into the news, just a small update. As you know, earlier this year, we successfully funded our second Kickstarter project, namely, oh, look, I've got one on hand. Console Wars, the card game. We're getting to build it. I am pleased to say that the prototypes are under construction for me to approve. They should arrive later on this month. And once that's done, I give the go-ahead, and it's 35 to 40 days for production. And we're on target to ship in Q1. In fact, we're on target to ship a little bit ahead of that. But we're going to avoid Christmas so that nothing gets lost and nothing's crazy expensive. But as a prelude to that, or a I don't know, epilogue to that, prelude is not the right word, John. We are pleased to advise that we have booked our second retail stand. As folks know, we went to Gamescom early this year, thanks to XboxEra's community crowdfunding the team to go out there and meet together for the first time IRL. And we ran a booth while we were there for Console Wars, a card game, which was enormously successful. We have now booked our booth for the UK Games Expo, which is at the Birmingham NEC in May of 2025. Myself and the Booth Babe crew, and I think even a pre-drag might be coming over to visit the UK for the first time and help man the booth. We'll be live there for the first time, where you will be able to buy the game at retail. So if you missed out on backing it on Kickstarter, you will be able to walk up and get it. And we will be doing an exclusive card at the event that you can only get there. It is tremendously exciting to be able to do stuff like this. And, you know, I don't want to harp on too long about it because we talk about it every time we're live about how difficult it is to survive as a publication in the games media space. Because we're not just a publication, we're a community center. We are a band of creators that do all sorts of things to try and keep afloat in an industry that does not reward small publications in any way, shape, or form. So being able to do things like card games and books and having a Patreon that is successful as ours is all thanks to you guys again. So as always, overflowing with gratitude for being able to do this kind of cool stuff. And if this takes off in the way that I genuinely think it will, it's a way to keep us secure and being able to keep doing this for a long time to come. So fingers crossed. But anyway, if you're in the UK, get some tickets booked and you can come down and visit us, and we'll be there doing demos, selling things, selling t-shirts. It's going to be fun. That's it. That's the news. It's worth mentioning as well, because I've just seen it in the chat. If you do want a copy of the Kickstarter exclusive version that comes with the Kickstarted card, which funnily enough, because I've got it all around me, looks like this, you can still late pledge on our Kickstarter page and reserve yourself a copy. So get in there before I turn it off, because I'll be turning it off the moment I have to tell the manufacturer, these are how many we need of each thing. So you've got maybe a few weeks to get in there if you want to. But there's no extra cost for late pledging, so you still get everything that person that pledged on day one gets. So yeah,
darn.
Before we dive into the news topics and talk about the kiddie, we got a super chat from Dexter H who says, being kind of down these 24, I'm going to presume hours, for obvious reasons, but excited to talk about games and hang out with the XboxEra crew. That's what we're here to do. Provide a little bit of joy. Yeah. And look, that's what games are, really. They're a hobby. They're a way to connect with each other. They are an escape, a way to save universes, be a hero, be a villain, all of those different things. If there's one thing that can unite us and bond us together, it is that universal shared joy of just playing video games.
Yeah, no one ever argues around video games. Ever.
Hold up. Let's not go too far. But big thanks, Dexter. Yeah, that's why we're here. Anyways, out of nowhere today, as we veer over into gaming headlines, Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima's now 5-year-old game to the day, is suddenly out and available as a director's cut edition on Xbox consoles. It has been on PC a little while.
This version is not 5 years old. This is the newer version.
Indeed, but Death Stranding as an IP was 5 years old to this day, which suggests that somewhere a little Sony exclusivity clause ran out of time.
Well, it doesn't. It seems like more than that because he now seemingly owns the IP, which he did not before. It was a Sony-owned IP. It would be weird to only own it for 5 years. Yeah, so like that would be a weird, because I saw Andy Robinson also say that, oh, maybe some timing thing hit. I think it was just more they negotiated to own the IP essentially. Kojima Productions now owns Death Stranding outright. I have no idea what that would mean for Death Stranding 2, but
yeah, he owns,
probably not day and date.
All the IP,
but potentially Death Stranding 2 in the future. And this is the director's cut, which is not the version that was on PC Game Pass. It was the original 505 Games published version, because Sony published director's cut on PC. So if you played it before on PC, your save won't be compatible because it is a different SKU. I know that's not normal for us. It is pretty normal on PlayStation. But yeah, it's $20 on sale. That means at full price, it's only $40, which is cheaper than it is on PlayStation, which is weird. I think it was 27 Australian and 95 Australian between Xbox and PlayStation when Nick showed it. It's Play Anywhere. It has full achievement support. I know they were smart. They didn't put the achievements live until like the game had been out for a bit because they didn't want it to leak that way, because that is how it is all. Almost always leak. Yeah, it's surprising. I'm not huge on the game's story, but it has something there gameplay-wise. It's weird. You are a delivery man, and the whole game is this Strand game. It's essentially asynchronous multiplayer where you'll be in this world where people have been building ways to get through the environment more easily to help you out. It's neat. I bought it because I'm going to stream it later, because I figured why not.
I saw it had ultra-wide support on PC, and I was like, it does look very pretty. Do I want to try that out?
Have you played a Sony Decima engine game? Because you're now going to have one on Xbox, which is kind of weird. The Guerrilla Killzone and Horizon Tech. It's a weird one. It's just out of nowhere. It's neat. I think it only reinforces this isn't even a Monster, SJ. This is Aldi's Summit Gridlock Monster ripoff that tastes good and is a third of the price. I think this, along with other stuff that's been happening, just continually reinforces that everyone wants to be everywhere. Yeah, it is the way to grow. It's like, how do we grow when things are stagnating, where there's plenty of money to be made? It's just where you can make it is what matters. So,
and it's interesting to note as well. I can see in the chat, Trav says, "I know Nick won't ever play this game. It's 90% movie." Weirdly, Nick was like, "Oh, I want this if we get a code."
Yeah, he's a digital hoarder. He digitally hoards. That's what he likes to do. But yeah, if you're curious what the gameplay is, it's stuff like this where you're trying to get across harsh terrain in various ways. You got to be ready for Kojima's style of very on the nose, yet trying to pretend it's subtle writing. Like he's a big fan of a lot of really good stuff, and I feel like he tries to go for it. It just doesn't always land for me personally, but a lot of people really do like it. It's such a weird mix. It's a video game mixed with incredibly melodramatic cutscenes, and the power of a hug can overcome all. But yeah.
Beautiful.
I will.
Game.
Yeah, I'll be.
Each to their own.
Oh, cat cam's not on here. I'm getting yelled at. Hold on. But yeah, it is a. It is the latest indicator that most companies are all in on focusing their releases everywhere because it only makes sense. It doesn't hurt anyone now that Death Stranding's on Xbox. Like, there is no negative to be found around this. It just means more people get to play it. It gets more money. It is interesting Sony would give up the IP when there's a sequel coming out. I am wondering, what was it, a clause? Was it after 5 years, I can buy this out if I want to?
Yeah, maybe. 5 years to the day is unusual timing, to say the least. Like, there's definitely something contractually that expired and allowed for this to be instant. But hey, it's good. More games for more people to play. It's a good thing. Like, there's no
since I bought it, my brother has access. I'm sure he's gonna love it. He loves Kojima.
Of course, yeah. I can imagine Trav definitely died.
If you want to see weird Avatar Jeff Keighley in a game, you got to play Death Stranding.
I've always found the media's desire to be in games, and a lot of folks use reviewing games and writing about games as a stepping stone into just working for their favorite studios. The bizarrest. I mean, look, everyone's got to have a career. Jeff
Gerstmann talked about it on his podcast. And he was like, it's because the games industry just doesn't pay anything. It pays like shit, and you can make good money.
The games media industry.
The games coverage industry pays shit. And the only way to make money in it is to work yourself to the bone doing guide work, which nobody likes. I know
we're here to change that.
Like, I met Lucy James and Timur at the Dragon Age preview, and I think both of them, or at least Lucy, is doing a voice in a game, and it's neat. And I think on the whole, you just like, if we ever had a Console Wars a card game, we'd never cover it.
We wouldn't review it. We'd say, hey, our game is out today, but
we talk about our game all the time, but we wouldn't review it.
Yeah.
Or if we did,
it's like
we would have to pull someone in third party and have their thing,
independent review,
their thing on their site, and then we'd link to that. Like, that
it's
would
like,
be
when I was working in the Forge Council before Halo Infinite came out, right? I recused myself from doing the Halo Infinite review, which you did, because I was like, I've been working with the devs for like a year and a half, 2 years. I can't review this. I'm conflict of interest much. So yeah, fun one. But anyway, yeah, if you're into Death Stranding, it's available now. It's 50% off. In the UK, that's £17.50. You may as well just jump on that. I might even pull the trigger, even though I likely will never play it. So maybe I am like Nick.
If you did do the Nick, and it's just, you sent me it's just the press engine. We're already requested on.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know that they're out there now, and them saying,
I've talked to them directly. I know when it should be coming in.
Cool.
But yeah, and play anywhere, which is always cool. Like
PC and console all in one.
I shared a link on the Discord. There was I normally like Linus Tech Tips. I like their videos. They did one, but I like their tech stuff. No, I like their tech stuff. Like, it's just fun, dumb tech stuff. When I see something like this come out and it's Play Anywhere, and it reinforces that, why I think the Xbox ecosystem it's not similar enough to PlayStation where it's ever a point to compare them as far as digital goes. And that video was why the new Xbox is the worst deal they've ever had. Very clickbaity, because the entire video, they only talked about the PlayStation digital ecosystem. Because they're like, well, more people have it, and Xbox gets complicated, and then they link Play Anywhere. It's like, yeah, because it kills your argument, because Xbox's digital ecosystem goes back 2 generations. It always carries forward. Like one of the later stories we have is that we'll be able to talk about in a couple is Nintendo finally saying we'll respect your purchases, because like people are just used to it working on Xbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, so pretty much now you buy Death Stranding, you'll have it forever on at least PC. Like that's just the one thing you can essentially trust with Microsoft in their store.
I get cross. Like one of the biggest hurdles I've had into really enjoying my ROG Ally is when I encounter the lack of a Play Anywhere system, and I have to, if I want to play the game I'm playing on console, I have to rely on streaming it because I can't install the PC version. And again, that's why when Microsoft talk in theory, and there's a lot of theory around handhelds and things like that about having this combined ecosystem. If you're a developer and you release a game on whatever that new Xbox platform is, it is going to have a PC version day and date, and they're both available and they both work.
And most of the time,
night and day.
They are Play Anywhere. Unfortunately, Stalker 2 is old enough. It's not. It won't be cross-save or anything. So I'm really torn. I'm going to play the shit out of it on Series X, but I think my main review might be PC just because it's, I don't know. People get so mad. Like, I'll say exactly, this is what it's like. I played 10 hours on Xbox. Here's all my footages. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. Would that be good enough? People always get mad at me, but it's like, I've got a really good PC, and shooters play better with a mouse and keyboard. So I will know exactly how it plays. I'll show you. I'll talk about it. The video will be it. But just let me enjoy my toys. People get very cross.
Yeah, well, it's this tribalism that exists around this industry. It's pervasive in all
and I
aspects.
get people wanting to know what it's going to be like for them on their console when we've got that console's name in our friggin' name. So I'll make sure that's there. Rise of the Golden Idol, I won't be able to say what it's like on Xbox, so because I only have a PC code. And that happens occasionally where it's just, especially smaller titles, don't get through cert until later, like sometimes at launch. But I have played it a lot on a controller, and if you played Case of the Golden Idol, it means something. So, but yeah, Death Stranding. I'll stream it later today.
I look forward to maybe jumping in and tuning in.
I think.
Speaking of,
I was
streaming,
just saying, with Play Anywhere, if the Windows Store ever does take off, you might see less of it.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. I'd hope that those ecosystems are entwined rather than immediately then separated.
Well, I just mean not they take them away. Just they might not do as many deals. You never know. That's just me.
I hope not.
Thinking
it's such a better way to enjoy games. If time permitting, because I've got something I've got to write and render for a preview dropping tomorrow. For what? Yeah, you'll see. If I get time. Maybe we do a little hangouts this evening. I don't know playing what, but maybe we do a little hangouts this evening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the day unfolds. But yes, there you go. Death Stranding. Go pick it up. It's 50% off. Next up in the news, there's a little rumor, a little salsa for your Thursday afternoon. Warcraft 2 remastered internal alpha spotted by BlizzTrack. BlizzTrack.com, which is a site dedicated to tracking build changes on the Battle.net service, which is operated by Activision Blizzard, picked up a Warcraft 2 remastered internal alpha that was making its way through the rounds at the developer. This might be one of the surprises folks can expect to see at the company's coming Warcraft 30th anniversary, which airs on the 13th of November at 10 a.m. PST. Are you excited for that? If that's true and it's real, a Warcraft 2 remastered internal alpha build
I've never... I can't remember the last time I played a Warcraft game. That wasn't World of Warcraft, which I had 15,000 hours in or something really unhealthy. This is old enough where it makes sense. I think they had the Reforged one they did that was really bad, that overtook the old version.
Yes, no one
and supposedly that might be getting fixed as well. So they definitely seem they seem keen on returning to some older IPs in ways they haven't in a while, and this game's old enough where I think it makes sense. Like, you could do some nice modern day graphical updates, some good looking 3D stuff that you make look like sprites, or you just do really nice sprites if you want. Yeah, quality of life issues people might have. I would just hope, and I doubt they would, but I hope they wouldn't choose again to override the old version and just leave the old version as is and have a new version alongside it. It's like, you can still play Diablo 2, or you can play Diablo 2 Resurrected if you want. So it's neat. And I'm hoping it's like this continued march of working on older IP for Blizzard and Activision again. Because we had the story not that long ago that was they're making a smaller team to focus on revitalizing IP.
I love that idea.
Yeah, and it has to be smaller because then it costs less and it doesn't have this huge overhead like every Ubisoft game has, where it's a failure if you don't. And they're not.
Well, we're seeing that across the industry.
Yeah,
right?
They're not going to stop putting most of their work into Call of Duty because it makes too much money. That'll never change. So
yeah, but if they can get teams together, Grounded was made by initially 12, 15 people, and it's an enormous success for the amount of money it cost. And if they can do that with other IP and start, surprising and delighting fans of these, the war chest of IP that Microsoft now owns is unfathomable in some respects. I think it's a no-brainer. So it definitely does sound very attractive when I think about these smaller teams splintering off and just working on little passion projects that can return to players some of that joy and excitement to see legacy IPs come back. Bring back Mecha Salt, Phil. Super chat from Red Wolf Renegade. Is Death Stranding getting a physical for release for Xbox? I doubt it. Honestly, I doubt it. It's 5 years old. They've just released it. They would have done that announcement today, right? Unless they're going to partner up and do something else.
If it was part of it,
games,
I didn't see anything like that. Yeah.
I doubt it. I would be very surprised. But nothing announced at this point. So, yeah. Sorry, Red Wolf. No physical edition for you, at least right now. Yeah. Next up in news, just some updates on when you can expect our Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 review. And look, I can see some of this chat going on in the chat thread at the moment about why we do PC reviews sometimes if our channel's called XboxEra, yada yada yada. Of course, Amazon chooses to pull up right now, and I missed this delivery yesterday, and they time it for the middle of the show. So I'm going to have to answer the door in a minute, but I'll quickly queue this up while I wait for this guy to get it out of the van. Flight Simulator 2024 is a big game, and due to the online nature of it, our friends at Microsoft have advised us that there is no early review code. We'll be dropping in live with a big day one patch on launch day, November 9th. November 9th?
No.
19th. Sorry, 19th.
19th.
I knew it was a 9 in there. So lots to look forward to, but the good news is you'll be able to watch Jesse exploring that game live.
I'll be getting my Turtle Beach on. Yeah. I'll be happy I'll finally... Well, I use them on stream once, so go respond to your door if you need to. So yeah, just to go over reviews and timing and in general how everything works on them. Most of the time you can get review code earlier on PC because Steam has their beta branch system, which just allows you to put up whatever you want because it will never be public facing. Microsoft has something similar with their insider program, but it is more limited, so companies don't use it really. Activision used it for the Diablo 4 review. So yeah, this is an entirely new game. It's a new SKU. It will bring over everything you have from 2020. The big thing with Flight Sim 2024 is going to be there are some tech upgrades. You've got ground set pretty much everywhere on the planet. It's only a 30 gig install instead of 150. There's a lot of changes under the hood. The main things I'll be looking at in the review is the campaign. So there's a campaign to go through and do like dozens of different airplane related jobs. So we'll be going through doing that. It's the type of review that shouldn't take more than a day or two to get out because I've got a couple hundred hours into the base game. So I just need to see how different is this? How is this campaign? Once that's done, I've got enough footage, write up a review, either lauding it or finding issues with it, whatever it ends up being. I have no clue, despite what that weird Dutch forum said about me having my Starfield review written weeks before the game came out.
That is hilarious to me.
No early reviews on Flight Sim 24. Everyone will start reviewing it on the 19th. I should be getting... So I'll have Rise of the Golden Idol, then right into working on Stalker 2, hopefully, with a fair amount of time before release. You never know. No clue when the embargo is on that one. I'm kind of hoping it's release day. It would be easiest. That one comes out on the 20th. But yeah, on the 19th, we'll be all aboard, doing a bunch of flight simmy stuff with all of my... Yeah. I've got the whole flight deck and rudders and a flight stick. So flight deck is what you'd use on a giant jumbo jet like this, and then I'll have the flight stick because I'll mostly just use helicopters and shit, I'm sure.
If there's any multiplayer stuff, I will probably pop along and fly around with you as well.
It's not a coming in hot thing, Lucius. It's the nature of how it's being upgraded from 20 into 24. Because it's going to use all the same stuff, and they said they've got a big patch. It's one of those things where it's probably just not worth the effort for them to build this whole bespoke build that only a select number of people, like 100 people, are going to use to review. Like, it's a ton of effort, and instead they're just like, no, we'll just... Instead of giving you some unrealistic expectations because these day one patches aren't ready, and you've got like 3 days now to try and review this thing... we'll just have everyone go at launch.
And is it the case that this is replacing 2020 and kind of overtaking it, or
no? If you have 2020, it's still there. It's everything you have in 2020 comes with you. It's using most of the same tech for the world and all that, but then it's adding on top of it. So I wouldn't be shocked if some improvements in their mapping stuff go back to 2020. I don't know if they've talked about that before, but yeah, this is a new SKU. It'll be in Game Pass too, so if you never owned it before, you don't have to own it now.
It looks graphically like and simulation wise, and I don't just talk about the flying simulation, but the world simulation.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Animals, wildlife. It looks absolutely bonkers. It's going to be very interesting as well because when these games kind of launch, and you always see like an online only title. This is an online-ish only title, right? I think you can download select places.
You can play it offline if you want to Yeah, you can download it for 2020. Yeah. But if you want everything downloaded and just ready to go offline, it's like 328 gigabytes. It's enormous because their actual world data is multiple petabytes, and you're streaming that in. So this will use, if you're at max fidelity, this will use a ton of internet. So if you get a data cap, probably turn that off.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much it uses over time. I expect some interesting.
It could probably
stats.
use a couple gigs a flight. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, be interesting. But yes, it's certainly shaping up to be probably one of the best simulator-esque games ever made. Certainly, just on the face value of it, from what we've seen thus far, although we didn't get to fly around the Grand Canyon, so but yeah, super keen to try this one out. The first one was a revelation in terms of immersion, and this looks to be just taking everything up several levels, and doing the whole like career system, putting out bushfires or delivering
really
stuff.
Gamifying it was what people wanted.
So smart. Kudos to Asobo. This looks cool. So yeah, there you go, Flight Sim. Next up in the news, Nintendo have made some noise. There's several things to touch on here, so I'm just going to generally talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 console platform and Nintendo as a whole. First off, they've lowered their Switch forecast after the sales of this last quarter declined by 31%. Of course they have. It's been out for nearly a decade now?
7 years.
7 years? Wow, feels like a decade. And everyone that wants a Switch has probably got one. And those in the know, or if you're Nick, 12. And those in the know that the sequel is coming. to this platform.
People were still hoping and expecting they'd announce it. Now I'm like, why? They want to sell as much Switch as they can before the holidays.
Yeah,
or
no
during the holidays.
Osborning your platform before you release the next one. As such, Nintendo's president says there's no change to the Switch 2 announced plan, which is before the end of March 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So some point in the first quarter of the year, you'll get an announce from Nintendo. But the most interesting piece of information that came out of this was they actually confirmed, because this has been a nebulous point of discussion with regards to backwards compatibility with existing Switch software. They've confirmed that it will have some sort of backwards compat for the next console. Now, is that digital only? Will it take the same cartridges? These are all questions I still have for the Switch, but I guess we won't know until we know. We have to wait for that announcement. But
with Nintendo, they can be oddly good about backwards compatibility at times and then terrible at others. Hopefully this is one of the times they're very good.
Yeah, it would suck to see them resell everything to you again, right, Nintendo fans?
No, the Nintendo fans love it.
I don't know if they love it. They begrudgingly accept it.
They pay for it, so they must.
Yeah, right. You're sending Nintendo a message. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Anyway. So yeah, there you go. Nintendo Switch 2 still coming.
I do see James Thomas. Switch 2 going to sell like crazy. I don't know. I think it'll sell fine. I don't think it'll do Switch numbers because so many people will still have a Switch, and they will have the PS4 and Xbox One issue where just most people won't upgrade, at least not right away. It'll take time. It'll take something really super killer Switch only, and I do think Nintendo tends to have, especially this gen, they have had the bigger sellers than they've ever really had before. A new Mario Kart would probably be like the killer app for them. There's nothing probably bigger than Mario Kart 9.
And that's the interesting thing is, speaking of that, Chris Dring over at gamesindustry.biz, they actually posted an opinion article today about how he thinks the Switch 2 will avoid the fate of the Wii U. And that's the general supposition that Nintendo's follow-up hardware to very successful hardware always seems to kind of stumble out of the gate.
Well, and I don't think it'll do Wii U, but I don't think it'll do they always sell less the next and then pick up again. I think this one will keep that up. It'll just be Super Nintendo to Super Nintendo, where it was like 61 million to 52. So a drop, but not terrible. I just don't think it's gonna. But then you went to the N64 and it was like 28, and then the GameCube didn't do many, and then the Wii did like 90, and then the Wii U did like 17. And then the Switch did 150 or 160, whatever it ends up doing. If they do 100, it's still a big drop. It's just, a significantly, it's still a great overall generation.
I feel like the only thing that could have come a cropper for them is that, you mentioned it earlier. Hey, I've already got a Switch. This just looks like an iterative upgrade. Which is something that PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles are struggling with.
Yeah, because there's no way this is cheap. This is going to be expensive.
Yeah. Well, it's all out to be quite interesting. Do they still target that $399 bracket? Do they up it to $499, $599?
Well,
it's going to be a $300.
It was so. This one's going to be $400. Like, I would not be surprised if it was a full $100 more at launch, just because. Yeah. Technology is not cheaper anymore. In throughout the generation, it doesn't get cheaper. So
it's going to be interesting. But hey, Switch 2, it's coming.
You'll do great.
2025 will be fun. Next up in the news, Steam recording is now available on all PC Steam clients. This update dropped on November 5th, and it's a new built-in system for creating and sharing your gameplay footage. So much like NVIDIA Shadow Play or AMD's version of that. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah, Windows Game Bar.
Yeah, you can just use Steam to record game footage instead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super curious how good it is. I will have to test it out. I use OBS to record a lot of my game footage, and I'm not always pleased with the quality that it can capture sometimes. like comparatively to what I can view natively on my screen?
The thing we would do if we ever truly wanted the best quality, but it doesn't matter because YouTube's going to compress it anyways. But if we wanted the best quality, you need a capture PC that runs on a CPU, because CPU capture looks a lot better than GPU capture. It just is insanely system intensive. So you need like a 9950 set to really good quality, and the only thing that CPU is doing is just using your capture card to capture footage from your Xbox or your PC. Then it will look great. Hey, cool, YouTube friggin' is out of memory every single time. We lose a lot of views that way. YouTube just crashes in people's web browsers. Yeah, it's been happening to everyone. We just went down a quick 20 because YouTube crashed on everybody. It's annoying as shit.
Up for me. It hasn't crashed for me, if that makes you feel better.
We did go from 170 and just immediately dropped to 150. So that's, in case you're ever wondering why you get spikes of people dropping, it's because YouTube itself is broken across all browsers. And
while we're at 150, let's ask everybody to just lean across and hit that thumbs up like button on the video, because the algorithm demands it. But yeah, Steam. I'm going to test it out. I'm intrigued to see if it's any good. It's cool that they've done that, though. Next up in news, GeForce Now is capping their gameplay time for new members starting in 2025 to 100 hours. They're doing this instead of raising the fees, i.e. how much they charge you a month. And the priority membership for GeForce Now is being renamed to Performance, and it includes 1440p and ultra-wide support, which is pretty cool.
This is the cutest kitty cam of all time right now, by the way. You're going to see. She is a super cute little a-hole of a cat. And now you're getting supreme maximum cuteness the moment she plunks down here. But yeah. Yeah, that's a good kitty cam. So, as was talked about by Phil and Sarah in the FTC case, it's really hard to make money on the cloud. It's super expensive to run. That's why they do Series S, because it uses less energy. That's why they give you less bandwidth, because it costs, or less bitrate, because it costs more for bandwidth if they do. With GeForce Now, you're getting incredibly expensive hardware running all the time, but it's only for things you own. So like it's $20-25 a month, something like that. But then you have to bring your own games. So it just ends up being, even for them, a more and more expensive thing. Also, I was joking earlier to you off air. It's funny that this happens right after Black Ops 6 hits it. Both either via purchase or with Game Pass. So, like, if you have Game Pass and you have GeForce Now, pretty sure you get access to Black Ops 6. I might be wrong. I haven't tried. I don't have GeForce Now. But it's weird. You have to have a sub before December 31st ends, and you have to make sure that sub stays up forever. And then you can have the unlimited gaming.
Your grandfathered in.
Yeah, so it's 100 hours a month. It's not a low amount of time, but I think for especially COD gamers who really grind things out, they'll hit that cap pretty quick, and then there's like no way. That's it. If that's the only way.
So what they've said is subscribers can carry over 15 hours of unused time to the next month. If they hit that 100-hour cap, you'll have to purchase additional play time or play using the basic rigs for the remainder of the month. You can purchase 15 hours of extra playtime with the Performance 15-hour blocks priced at $2.99, or the Ultimate 15-hour playtime priced at $5.99. Just buy a PC. I don't know. It's each to their own. Each to their own. What do I know? You know?
I mean, it is one of those things like GeForce Now, depending on where you live, works so well. Like you can be on your phone. Hey, everyone, we joined back up. We're back to 176. Sorry, YouTube crashes all the time on web browsers. It's shit. It just says out of memory and crashes out of nowhere randomly. It happens to us on the podcast all the time. Like on the podcast, we'll be at like 250 views, and all of a sudden we're at 180. And it's like, oh, cool. So we had about 70 people watching on web browsers, and then it'll go back up to like 220, but not everyone rejoins. It's very frustrating. Much like if you had 100 hours and then have to spend even more money to keep playing.
I can see a lot of people, a lot of love for the kitty cam.
She's not always there. So we put the pillow here now. This little pillow is on the back of the couch. And so she's on I put her on the pillow.
Has Amanda seen the kittens?
Probably Probably not.
I don't know if you saw the kitten. I'll bring the kittens out in a bit before we go because they are like the most adorable little things.
And nobody got to name them because there were
no one donated during the stream, thankfully. So I don't have to deal with Kitty McKitten Face as a name for my cat. They are Gizmo and Pumpkin. Those are the names. Suck it up. Next up in news, SEGA is delisting a lot of their old games. There's actually over 60 titles on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. I mean, there's so much to go in here. You can check out the article on XboxEra.com where we have a link to the SEGA FAQ. But predominantly, this is like affecting lots of like Genesis classic bundles,
the
Mega
SEGA,
Drive classic bundles.
The Mega Drive and Genesis collection on Steam that's got like 50 individual things in it is gone. I bought it. I was like, why not? It's on sale for $36 instead of being the normal 70 or something it was for every game. But yeah, so I bought two video games this week. It's felt weird. Nice.
So they're being delisted on December the 6th at 11:59 PST. If you already own them across any of these platforms, you can obviously still re-download them. But you won't be able to buy if you don't own them and you go to buy them on December 7th, they won't exist anymore. So get in there now if you must have all of these kind of classic Sega
They're going to do a new collection probably. It's the only thing I can really think of.
They might do a new collection. We do know that they're working on lots of like new iterations of stuff like Crazy Taxi and Shinobi and Virtua Fighter and so on and so on and so on.
They're going to stick them all in arcades and the new Yakuza games, and that'll be the only way you can play them. That was one of the only ways you could play. God, was it Daytona or something else? There was one version of a game. The only way you could actually play it on modern consoles was in the arcade in Yakuza. Yeah,
that's hilarious to me.
I think it was before it was like a Dragon 2. It was still Yakuza.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went through. I can maybe eventually go through and stream some of these for fun.
Yeah, Nick is insanely excited at the prospect of a new Virtua Fighter, so much so that even though it's really not news comparative to some of the other stuff that's come out today, he's made it the podcast's banner image without discussing it with anybody whatsoever.
Well, he discussed it with me, but it was my response was just like, I mean, I guess if it makes you happy. I think what was it going to be? It was going to be like PS5 Pro because we're just trying to think of something that would pull people in.
Well, Death Stranding.
Today I would say Death Stranding. So I'm actually messaging him Death Stranding thumbnail change. Biggest news on the platform this week.
Well, whilst Jesse's messaging dear old Nick, we have discussed, speaking of thumbnails, that we might start bending to the algorithm's will by putting just on podcast and show related content our actual faces,
normal faces.
So just normal faces, not like faces, but it's just kind of to our community that hate that. Know that we kind of hate it too, but psychologically it works apparently on human beings.
So we're running a test. There's 3 thumbnails. You might have seen them for the Dragon Age the Veilguard review. There's the game's key art, there's one character's face, and then there's another character's face. So on review thumbnails, focus on having a character face. I think that's the thing like ACG came up with. It's like, I will not put my face, but I'll have a big character face on there. And people just really like faces. And so there is a... God, how long does this thing run for, too? Like, I'm waiting for them to give the results on the Dragon Age one. It's still running, it seems like. Just says running.
When did the review drop?
A week
Monday
ago.
Last week? Yeah, like this should.
It might do it a few weeks and to actually get proper data, which would make sense.
But we might experiment with our podcast thumbnails. Like, so you might just see, but it's important for the community to know that the content is still the same. It's just the wrapping that is maybe just subtly changing. But yeah, Nick might suggest we just put his face. Actually, I'm not adverse to that. Like,
well, Nick's already mad at how things are named, so because he wants pretty art, and it's like me too, but it doesn't pull new people in. We need new people as well as the old.
It's got to be said, and I don't know if you can show it on the show right now. But if you look at our YouTube page, like as a YouTube page on YouTube, it looks so freaking good comparatively to like all of the honest review and all of that horrific crap that you see on YouTube. Like, I feel like our page looks really profesh. Do you know what I mean? Like, super profesh.
As you see, like, so here, when you look at Veilguard, it's giving the Balara face thumbnail for me instead of it had been giving the key art one before.
I've got the key art one on mine.
Yeah, so it jumps. That is the test it's running. But you see, like with Unknown 9 and Indie, trying to have big faces. That's about the best. The main thing we're going for now is just try and have some form of face. It's what people want. Oddly enough. So, but yeah, in general, I really like our thumbnail look. I think it's really good. It's quick and informative. It lets you know if something's in Game Pass. We were on one thumbnail for the travel vlog, but even there we weren't huge.
Yeah, but that was more for the community than the travel vlog video was.
Hey, it's almost at $1,000. Not bad.
Yeah.
But traffic on the site has been really good lately, like 11, 3.5, 16, 7, 2, 11. Then slower here, but yeah, lately, really good. For some reason, this Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred review just did not get pushed to anyone. I'm still curious why that happened. That's like my worst performing one in a very long time. It's weird. Nothing can match your Mech Warrior 5 Clans preview, though. That's 53,000. It's our second biggest performing unique video ever. Because our biggest performing video is the Halo 2021 trailer.
Yeah. Xbox didn't upload it, and we did.
Yeah, Mike pulled it out of the show, just captured it in 4K and uploaded it and did like 200 something grand. My Cuphead preview did 94 grand for some reason. Everyone previewed it, but that one took off. And then my Cuphead review did like 600. So weird. YouTube's weird. And John's microphone is always breaking.
It just recovered. I bought a replacement cable. This is what's busted. So yeah, it's.
What did I say first time? Probably the cable.
I think something blew because my PC was bought
and it's probably from the cable. That happened to me with my camera. I started having bad PC issues. My PC wouldn't start unless I unplugged all my USB. And I literally unplugged, and I unplugged everything, thinking it was the camera because the camera kept messing up. And I plugged everything. Every USB-A was out, and it wasn't until I took the USB-C cable from the Elgato 4K, it worked. And Bizarre. Then I just used a new C2C. Haven't had an issue. It was just that cable broke everything else USB-wise. Like half the USB on the back of my computer wasn't working. Just from that USB-C being plugged under it.
Infuriating. But yeah. Anyways, next up in the news, PlayStation 5 Pro is here and the reviews are out. And I would describe, if I was to kind of look at all the reviews, I think people are whelmed. Maybe at the most. Just nearly whelmed.
Okay, I shouldn't show this because it's going to scare people. But this friggin' this Dreamcast guy, PS5 Pro review is like, oh my God.
I don't want to see the thumbnail.
It's his typical thing. It's very funny. It's one of those things where it's so obvious that it's a grift, that it's not someone who actually thinks or cares about this stuff. He's playing up to an audience and he's stuck doing it now. And it's really funny when something goes bad and it's like, oh, it's like, oh my God, it's so bad. It kills me. Yeah, whatever.
Yikes. Yeah, it's out. It's, I read the Verge review was like, it depends how far away you are from your TV.
I mean, it is exactly what we thought, where it is slightly more powerful and it's got better scaling tech that works very well, especially in PlayStation first party. It's one of those things, again, where first party will take full advantage of it and some third parties will, and then a lot won't. It's still PlayStation, like their stuff is not as able to fix old games as Microsoft's is, because they don't run the same. They are that to the metal API, and people always say you need to patch to gain advantages when Sony gives you more. And most people aren't going to go back and patch. It's not worth it because the system's not going to sell as much. It's still available everywhere. So, and I don't think they were expecting it to be a huge seller. The CEO came out and was like, "This is a 5-year thing," which is crazy.
Yeah.
And
they said that the PS4 Pro sold to 20% of their existing
one out of
audience.
every 5 PlayStation 4 sold was a Pro. I would be surprised if that happened with the PS5, but they know far better than me.
Yeah. They're obviously trying to monetize their existing audience as much as humanly possible. And when I say their existing audience, I don't mean the casual audience. I mean their hardcore fan base. And being almost cult-like, yeah, I'm sure it will probably succeed to some degree. But yeah, if you're interested in PS5 Pro, the reviews are all out there. Obviously, we didn't review it because we haven't kickstarted our third-party multi-platform push into games media publication yet.
Well, if people ever notice and they Google stuff and they see that we do cover industry news, we just don't normally push it front-facing if it has no relation to Xbox, but it's just part of the good old algorithm and trying to get them clicks. So if a huge story hits, like Sony shutting down the Concord studio, we'll put out an article. We just normally won't tweet it or anything, but eventually it would be cool to cover everything with the same focus on Xbox. But it's like, we're big enough now.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
It would be focusing on everything with fairness.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with genuine fairness across the board.
Well, it's been one of the things. It's like people I really like and respect, and it's just I can tell they don't use the platform. So from their end, they end up having to go by what their friends are saying and stuff like that. And you just get into these situations where people don't actually know what it is like to use a specific platform. It drives me crazy. And it's also like they're so used to the issues they have on PlayStation with cloud saves and Nintendo with cloud saves and all these various other quality of life things that we take for granted and they don't know about. It's just one of those. It's tough to get someone who can know everything and communicate it in a good way. And if we could ever get to that point where we are nicely set up to talk about more and to do more without losing the focus we have on always covering Xbox and Xbox stuff because we know this platform very well. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would. I would genuinely love to do it one day. Don't know what the name would be though. I'm always spitballing names. Believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it needs to be something short that people can say quickly.
Yeah.
And XboxEra can be a brand that never goes away or never does anything. It's just always there as part of the umbrella brand that can talk about anything. Yeah. Nick can do his Nintendo Era podcast if he wants, or just get the fuck away from the Era word and do his Nicktendo podcast. Like, bam, done.
Who knows?
That type of thing. It would be cool. I don't think we need a ton more people because it would just be being able to talk about stuff and like, oh, this big news story came out that's only about a Switch game. Well, it goes on here and then we get a ton of clicks. Like, yeah. It's not going crazy and, we're going to cover everything. It's like, no, nobody covers everything. Not even GameSpot covers everything, and they are a giant company. Like, IGN doesn't cover everything, and they're a huge company. I think we actually cover as much as most, which is crazy. More. And we're only up to do it, of course. I'm going to put it up here again. Because you guys, especially the patrons, if you like our reviews and you like our previews and you like this show in the weekend podcast, which by the way is moving 1 hour earlier for America. It's 5 p.m. for the next half of a year, because that means he gets to get up at, or start the show at 10 instead of 11.
It's a lifesaver for me. I'm an old man now. I need my sleeps.
Mm-hmm. And your kids are annoying jerks who won't let you sleep. So
honestly, there's even coming on at 10 has its own risks because sometimes the kids won't go to bed, and then like
if they're as cute as Jeff Grubb's kids, people won't care though. Like his kids interrupt him all the time, and it's like,
I don't find them as cute as Jeff Grubb's kids. My kids are jerks. I've just realized, I don't know if you read it out, but we missed a super chat from Joe Rember who says praying for the Stalker devs based on the election results. Support Stalker 2 people. We won't dive into the political side of things, but we will simply say that yes, you should absolutely support GSC Game Worlds. Their recently released documentary is hauntingly, frighteningly, like shocking at what they've gone through just to build an entertainment product while their country's at war, you should absolutely support their game. If you're playing on Game Pass, consider taking advantage of your discount and purchasing it anyway to help them succeed, because they've been through a lot. Last 2 news items, and then I'll grab some kittens. You guys can say hello to Pumpkin and the other one, Gizmo. I keep forgetting their names.
Jojo's got a little paw over her nose like this right now. It's so cute.
Kitten Cam. Take-Two are selling the entirety of Private Division after they gutted it.
Sold it, but we don't know who yet.
Yeah, undisclosed sum, undisclosed buyer.
People were like, "Oh, is it Xbox?" And it's like, no, they're a public company. They'd have to say most likely.
Yes, these guys, Private Division, are a part of Take-Two, or were responsible for smaller scale titles like the upcoming Tales of the Shire. We've got Moon Studios' No Rest for the Wicked. Interestingly, with that latter one, Take-Two are keeping that particular game, which is a deal that's probably worked out with Moon and everybody else. But this all comes via Bloomberg and Jason Schreier. The unnamed buyer purchased the rights to substantially all of Private Division's live and unreleased titles, with the exception of No Rest for the Wicked.
I'm really curious with No Rest for the Wicked what it ends up being by 1.0. I got spoiled with Hades 2 afterwards. This is an early access game. It didn't have that much to do. It was very pretty. The gameplay
we played
could
it in
be
co-op, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what I'm showing right now. The gameplay could be well. There's no co-op. We each played it at the same time. After finding out there was no co-op. Are they adding
multiplayer or co-op?
I think they had talked about that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. It was a solid game, but it was one of those very European games where it's like, we're going to punish you for everything forever. And it's like, okay, at some point that gets pretty boring. I don't care about building up a city. It's an action RPG. I like grinding loot and having fun stories. And it was surprisingly short. I think I beat the whole thing in like 12 hours. All the content they had was like 10 hours or so. Amazing looking game. So I'm hopeful on it. The reasoning behind dropping Private Division was infuriating with friggin' Zelnick stating the games aren't big enough. It's like, you started an indie publisher. Why are you now like, oh yeah, no, they weren't big enough games. We do big games. I'm like,
I find it even funnier, like hits. Denying that it was shut down at all for a while. No, it's not. It's still there on paper.
It is, yeah. And we sold it. And it's like, yeah, it's just the skeeviest corporate bullshit. I can't stand it, but he makes people money. And Borderlands 4 and GTA 6 will both come out within the next calendar year and probably make a killing, or roughly calendar year. We'll see. And they just make billions of dollars in NBA 2K and lots of money in WWE 2K, and they'll keep going. And all those people who made good games and found good games to be made lose their goddamn jobs, and nothing will change. The end.
Yay, games industry. And speaking of how miserable the games industry is, last news story for today, which is just coming up on an hour-long episode, so it's a slightly longer one today. Don't Nod workers are striking on November the 8th. This initially came via Games Industry Biz. We obviously wrote up our own version from Biggie. But yes, if you didn't know, Don't Nod, best known for the original Life is Strange and recently released titles like Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, and Tell Me Why, and Jusant. They went through a bit of a process, and because these titles didn't perform, they notified that, hey, we're going to put like 69 roles up for possible, at risk you're going to lose it. So instead, being French, the union have announced, hey, we're going to strike, and they're striking tomorrow at the studio's headquarters in Paris. Best of luck, guys.
And I would just say, I know there's too many games coming out, but if you're over the holiday season and things are on sale, especially Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, and you can potentially find the time to play it, it's amazing. It's one of the best stories I've ever had in a game, despite what Nick says. It just adds to the game tremendously because the story is so good. Some of the best acting in a game with fun gameplay. There's a mix of detective and choice-driven gameplay because it is Don't Nod, so there are very important choices you're making. It's a wonderful video game that I could not recommend highly enough. I think it got unfairly reviewed. Should been in the mid to high 80s. That's what I say. God damn it. Yeah, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden rules.
People demand new IP, and then no one plays them.
Yeah, it's a good issue. Like when Phil Spencer said to us, "There's never too many games." For them, agreed. As long as they're not paying for them, they want as many games as they can get on their platform. But for all these companies making them, you have to keep your scope and your costs as low as possible because people just do not have enough time for everything.
Yeah. I really liked Jusant as well. I thought that was brilliant. That was a Game Pass one. I hope that maybe they can pick up a deal for Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. It wasn't on Game Pass. It was just a straight up release, right? Maybe that's something that they can look at in the new year.
I do think, I know people have been like, there hasn't been enough on Game Pass lately, and I think the main thing is they go by hours played as like their main metric. That's what they care about for Game Pass releases. And when you release a game that's going to have more hours played than the rest of the year combined, it probably just eats up your budget, especially when how much it costs to put Call of Duty on there. So I do hope we get a nice chunky December list of like, I don't know, 10 to 15 things. Knowing that indie's coming out, it'll probably be like 5 things because indie's going to count for a lot. But I do hope that eventually Banishers gets to more people, either through sale or through subs. It's really fun. It is a nice looking, well playing, great story game. Like it's really, really good. 20-25 hours, not insanely long. If you want to do everything, I think you can probably hit 35-40 because there's a lot of content to do. I think Rand did all of it. Tons of side stories. All the choices matter. And just truly some of the best voice acting and stuff I've ever seen in a game. It's incredible.
I really need to give it a go. I've got it. I started it. I think I got caught up in something else, and you know how it goes. I will definitely dive into that over the Christmas period. But yeah, that's it. That's all the news for the most part. There's plenty of other stuff out there, but I think that's most of the highlights. So we'll wrap this slightly longer episode of headlines up for you. But before we go, Jesse's going to tell you how great XboxEra is and when our next podcast is. Well, as I promised, there's kittens. I've got to show you some kittens, right? Just so you can get a little view of the kittens, because we all love kittens, right?
Yeah.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
So, of course, if you know us and you like us and you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/XboxEra. It's in the chat. It's also in the description down below. It is the best way to support us. They only take 8% of whatever you give compared to, say, YouTube. It takes between 30 and 50. But everything works. Even if you just click on the site, let ads play. Go through the forum, let ads play, like all of that at xboxera.com, forum.xboxera.com. Those are all the varied ways you can support us, just hanging out, watching our stuff, and enjoying what we do as we look at some tiny little kittens.
Okay. This is Tiny Little Pumpkin. Let me hold her up.
She's very tiny.
Very small. And very cute. You can sit there.
We have one -0. There's just we don't have a way to tie directly into having everything post on it on Blue Sky.
We do. Everything posts on Blue Sky now. I linked them.
Oh, hey, well, there you go.
And this is Gizmo, who is equally cute and adorable. A little bit more playful. This is a boy. And Pumpkin is a girl. But to say that I am just like the happiest kitten dad ever... would be an understatement, because these guys are awesome. Boots has been very well behaved. She hissed at them when she first met them, but now she kind of sniffs them.
She probably knows. She knows cats more than my cat did because she's an outdoor cat. So, are they going to be outdoor kittens?
Yes, they will be. I don't feel like in Florida it's a bit different. You guys have crocodiles, but
and snakes and lots of them and stuff.
I feel like they're always going to be outdoor creatures, and it's mean to keep them indoors unless you have to, you know. So that's just an opinion. I'm not judging. But these guys were abandoned in a bag as newborn kittens in between two fence panels. My partner's friend's son found them, brought them home to his mum. They reared them, hand reared them, human hands only. So they're very, very friendly and cuddly compared to like normal cats. Very trusting.
I'm going to get the link for our Blue Sky. Here you go. If you want to follow us over on Blue Sky, which is the best social media platform to actually talk about stuff on, there you go. I'll probably need to log in at some point so I can jump in there and do things too.
And
so
yeah, we have
auto. Actually, I don't have to.
I can see Trav making Pimpkin. We actually call her Plumpkin quite a lot because this one is a little fatty. And the only reason she was called Pumpkin is because when she sits down, she just looks like a little ball of fluff. So yeah, there you go. Kitten life. Honestly, it's just pure joy. I love it. I love kittens. I wish they stayed this size forever. But there you go. That's the end of this week's headlines. We'll be back on Saturday for the full-fledged mainline podcast. Where we'll
joined by Taylor Lyles.
Oh, Taylor Lyles, what are you doing? You want to climb up there? Are you happy? And obviously, Special Nick. Okay, you're gonna be a pirate cat. That's fine. You can do that. Until then, dear friends, be good to each other. Be kind. Play video games. Share the excitement and joy of this hobby. Hang out on our Discord. Hang out on our forums. If you really love what we do, subscribe to us on Patreon by visiting patreon.com/XboxEra. And we will be back on Saturday. Ciao for now.
Goodbye.
Is a burning thing and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire. The ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire. The ring of fire. A taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. See country shows near Tampa. Get tickets as low as $40. Oh, you might also like Family Matters. Great, but Daddy, I love him. Taylor Swift, the heart.